winning blueprint presents.
In the lab room.
Thanks for joining me again. You're back in the lab room. I'm your host, Lou. Got a great show for you today. I wanted to start off by talking a little bit about Hard Knocks last night. It's so good to have that show back. It was excellent to see that show and to get an inside look at what goes on behind closed doors in training camp, to see how the organizations work. It's amazing. And you forget sometimes, because we love the sport so much, how cutthroat of a business football can be. They started off the show with a poor guard that he's talking about how excited he is to be at camp and how it's better than being at home and how it's going to be a long process, but he's ready and he's been working out every day to prepare for camp. And they've already decided before they even do the conditioning drills that they were going to cut him. And they let him do the conditioning drills, and then they cut him. And they knew they were going to cut him before the conditioning drills. How dare you allow me to go out there and run and tire myself out and then cut me? But that's the kind of things that you see that makes you love and adore yourself to the Hard Knocks programs. Those are the kinds of things that you don't get to see on a regular basis. And you get to see the players basically unfiltered. You see them cut loose, and you see how guys really are, and you see their personalities, even the coaching staff. You get to see how everybody interacts with the players and behind closed doors. So Hard Knocks is a great watch. You guys have to watch it throughout this whole offseason, and or I should say training camp, and give yourself the opportunity to see what it is and what it's like behind closed doors. In a lot of these football, because what the Dolphins are doing is not unlike a lot of these teams around the league. This is how it is around the National Football League. Don't kid yourself if you think that they're just doing a lot of this stuff for the cameras. This is how a lot of these organizations conduct themselves behind closed doors. So after a 2-year hiatus, it's good to see Hard Knocks back. The team that we're going to do a lab report on today, starting out, is the New England Patriots. We're done with the NFC East, onto the AFC East. And we're going to start out with the New England Patriots, the AFC champions and the representative for the AFC in the Super Bowl last year. They fell one game short of accomplishing their goal of winning another Super Bowl championship. And before we get started, how many of you out there can't stand the Patriots? Raise your hand. I see a lot of hands out there that are up right now. The Patriots are basically the New York Yankees of the NFL. They're the evil empire of the NFL. If you're not a Patriots fan, you probably don't like the Patriots. But you don't have to like them, but you damn sure have to respect the Patriots and all that they bring to the table. Which brings me to the strengths of the Patriots. The first strength that the Patriots possess is the fact that they're a top-flight, first-class model organization for the rest of the league to follow. A lot of the organizations around the league try to emulate the Patriots because they've set forth the template that is successful in this league to win. They've been one of the most consistent franchises since the turn of the century, and it trickles down onto other facets of the team. The first place that it trickles down to is the head coach. The next strength, Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick, for all intents and purposes, is the best head coach in the NFL right now. His ability to compartmentalize and to separate whatever else is going on in his life, whatever else is going on in the Patriots locker room, and come out and talk to the media and be stoic and show the rest of his team that this is a business and we're going to approach it as such, is just one of the reasons why he is the coach that he is. Since he's taken over the New England Patriots in 2000, his record is a robust 155-59. That's a 72% winning percentage. You don't get that kind of longevity and consistency combined in the NFL, and it's rare. And he's been to 5 Super Bowls, won 3 of them, so he has the hardware to go along with the fact that he wins ball games. You can't just say, well, yeah, he won a lot of games, but he didn't win the big one. He's got 3 rings, and he's still fishing for more. His genius is one that is beyond measurement. He is a calculated perfectionist that symbolizes everything that the Patriots are. His coaching ability and his coaching style trickles down to the next strength. As if they didn't have enough already, the Patriots have one Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr., a.k.a. Tom Brady, as their quarterback. One of the best, if not the best quarterback in the league. First ballot surefire Hall of Famer. As poised, as consistent, and as good as it gets in the National Football League. That is Tom Brady. When you think of quarterback, 6'4", 225, standing tall in the pocket, quick release, decisive, cerebral, you think of Tom Brady. If there was a picture in the dictionary of National Football League quarterback, Tom Brady's picture would be next to the definition. Tom Brady is a winner, and he is a strength of the New England Patriots. As if they didn't already have abundance of riches, the Patriots have a certain way of going about their business, and they call it the Patriot way. It is probably the most effective way to conduct business in the National Football League, although I don't agree with it. We'll get into how it is run a little bit later, but the Patriots way oftentimes puts them in precarious situations. Like last year, they went and got Chad Ochocinco, now Chad Johnson. He didn't pan out. They were left with essentially no receivers past Wes Welker. Enter the diamond duo of Rob Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez. I dubbed them the diamond duo because they both wear the Patriots colors, white and blue, and they're encrusted in silver. But more importantly, just like a diamond, tight ends of an upper echelon Pro Bowl, All-Pro status in the league, their ability to mature as they age and get better. See Tony Gonzalez and his 80 catches and over 800 yards last year in his 15th year in the league. Tight ends age like fine wine. So their value never depreciates. It only appreciates. So in essence, those tight ends, and they're both young, are going to get better. And if they can continue to mature with Tom Brady at quarterback, their value will appreciate just like a diamond. Thus the name Diamond Duo. Even when the Patriots put themselves in a position like they did last year where they didn't have another receiver behind Wes Welker that was consistent, they still found a way to have the greatest season for two tight ends on the same team in NFL history. When the Patriots are handed lemons, they make some damn good lemonade, man. Even though they essentially dug themselves a hole, they still found a way to get out of it. And not only get out of the hole, but build a house on top of it. The Patriots, even when they're wrong, they're still right. And this is why in 2012, they'll be right there amongst the best teams in the league again. On to their weaknesses. Now let's talk about the Patriot way for a second, because it's definitely a strength, the Patriot way is, but it's also a weakness because they are very frugal when it comes to paying players, and they are definitely quick with the axe when it comes to roster moves. The Patriots hate to pay players money, especially after they've outperformed their contract. When they feel like these players are of too much value, they ship them out, especially if they start to show the slightest sign of a decline in their play. Asante Samuel comes to mind because he should still be a New England Patriot right now. Since he's departed, they haven't had a number one corner in New England. The way that they do things is they set the bar, and Tom Brady is the ceiling in that locker room. No one is going to get more money than Tom Brady. And for the longest while, they used that to their advantage. They lowballed Tom Brady because he was outperforming his contract by light years. They still didn't pay him until his contract ran out. They kept telling players, look, Tom Brady's only getting this amount of money. You can't get more than Tom Brady. So people weren't getting paid in that locker room. Tom Brady's contract finally ran out. Peyton Manning got paid. Tom Brady said, I need to be compensated for what I've done for this franchise. They had to pay that man. You look at guys, the only person that they really have paid and have looked to keep other than Tom Brady has been Vince Wilfork. You know, they got rid of Asante Samuel. They got rid of Richard Seymour. They don't keep their core guys around, especially when they think that they might be on the decline. Asante Samuel was a relatively young guy when they cut him loose. And so you got to think that the Patriot way can sometimes be harmful. And in this case, it was because their glaring weakness of the 2011 season was their secondary, ranked 31st in the league in passing, which led to them being ranked 31st overall. You know that had to eat at Bill Belichick, a defensive-minded coach. And the fact that they didn't have the corners out there, and they're a relatively young defense, the fact that they didn't have the corners out there to make plays is indicative of the fact that they cut too many people loose and didn't keep the guys around that could be a difference in that secondary, in that front seven. Another weakness of the Patriots is the front seven. You can't just blame the secondary for that 31st ranked defense. That front seven was giving up rushing yards. They were getting pounded in the run game. That's something that has to change. And you know Bill Belichick won't stand for it. You can tell that he's going to make changes by the fact that their first 4 picks in the draft were all on the defensive side of the ball. So it's going to get addressed. They're going to tighten up a lot of those loose ends and those screws and nuts and bolts that need to be tightened, and they're going to be a better defense in 2012. Camp battles. The strong safety is probably the most intriguing battle on the Patriots roster. They have James Ahedebo, who stepped in and did one heck of a job last year. He might have been the savior in the secondary last year because they had a slew of injuries. He stepped in and he shored up that safety position for them in a time of crisis. So he's back, but the Patriots want competition back there. They drafted a second-round pick that a lot of people thought they reached for, in Tyvon Wilson. Tyvon Wilson is a guy that played free safety and corner in college, and Bill Belichick loves versatile guys, especially in the safety position. And so look for him to be in the mix, as well as the Patriots went out and signed Steve Gregory from the San Diego Chargers, and they want him to start. They gave him money to start, but they're not going to just hand him the position. He has to come in and show that he belongs in the starter's role, and I think he will, because that is exactly what they want from him, and I think he's on the cusp of starting. He's been a rotational player in San Diego, and I think he's ready to grab a hold of that safety position for them. Another camp battle for the New England Patriots is that of center. If the strong safety position was the most intriguing battle of camp, this is the most important. Dan Copen has been Tom Brady's center for a decade. That's basically all Tom Brady has known throughout his career, is Dan Copen at center. Copen went down with an injury last year. In steps Dan Connolly. Connolly comes in, and he does an admirable job filling in for Copen, almost to the point where the Patriots coaching staff said, hey, I don't know if we can take this guy out. So now 2012 rolls around. Copen is now healthy and looking to reclaim his spot, but the Patriots coaching staff is like, hey, I don't know. Wait a minute now. We really like what Connolly did for us at the center position. So that is an interesting battle. One thing you have to take into consideration with this battle, though, is the Patriots have a rash of injuries along their offensive line. Their right tackle and their left guard right now are both injured. If these guys can't get back before the start of the season, look for Connolly, who's naturally a guard, to slide over to that left guard position, and by default, Copen will be back at his center position. So if these guys can't get back, that's probably what's going to happen. If they do get back, then you have a camp battle on your hands, and you'll have to stay tuned to see what happens there. Also, there's a third receiver position open for the Patriots. Last year, the incumbent Deion Branch held that position down. His production has been tailing off of late. They went out and got Jabbar Gaffney from the Redskins in free agency. He was a guy that set career highs in catches and yards for himself last year. His numbers have went up over the last 2 years. And so I fully expect him to come back to the Patriots, because he was a Patriot before, reacclimate himself to the Patriots playbook, and be your third receiver moving forward for the Patriots in the regular season. Another position, and we'll just gloss over this, running back. Ben Jarvis Green Ellis took off for free agency, went to the Bengals, so that leaves the opening for starting running back. The Patriots have 2 second-year guys in Shane Vereen and last year's backup running back, Stephon Ridley. All right, Stephon Ridley is probably going to be the guy that sees a lion's share of carries. However, the Patriots have always been a team that does a running back by committee. You know, they're going to have Danny Woodhead in there as well. So those guys are going to mix it up and see a lot of carries. So whoever wins the battle will get probably the most carries out of the 3 backs. But for the most part, all of these guys are going to see time at some point in the season, which is most of the time the case in a lot of these running back battles around the league. Rookie watch. The Patriots are always one step ahead of the rest of the league. And this is never more indicative than in the draft. In the draft, they always trade back to acquire more picks for the future. So while teams are trading up to get their man, the Patriots are trading back to acquire more picks for future drafts to always stockpile on picks. Well, this was actually a role reversal this year because the Patriots were the ones trading up to get their man, or in this case, men, because they made 2 trades up into the first round to get players that they coveted. Both defensive players, the first of which was the defensive end out of Syracuse, Chandler Jones. Chandler Jones is someone that they're going to look to come in and show up that defensive end spot. They lost 20 sacks in production from a year ago. Mark Anderson now in Buffalo, and Andre Carter tore a bicep. They let him go. Both of those guys had 10 sacks a year ago. So they're looking for Jones to step in and get immediate production and get pressure on the quarterback as well as be a menace in the run game. Their second first-round pick that they traded up to acquire was for the services of Dante Hightower. This guy is a 270-pound inside linebacker from Alabama who they absolutely love. This guy's going to come in and be the thumper that they need in the middle of this defense. They were porous against the run last year, and his presence would definitely help make that better in 2012. The Patriots' third-round selection was Jake Beckett, the defensive end out of Arkansas. This guy is a person that they're going to look to build depth with. In the mold of a Banta Tully Kane or a Mike Vrabel, he's going to be one of these guys that 2-3 years down the road is going to be in the game, and he's going to end up with 10.5, 11 sacks. And you're going to want to know, how is this guy getting sacks? Well, he has a relentless motor, and for some reason the Patriots are able to get guys, put them in the game, and they produce. He'll be another one of those guys that probably will be doing that for them later on down the line in 2 or 3 years. The Patriots had 2 7th-round picks, the first of which was the cornerback out of Nebraska, Alfonso Dennard. Dennard had a first or a second-round grade coming into his senior season, and some still liked him after the season was over for probably a second or a third-round pick. And he started to free fall because he had a terrible winter. It started off with a fight in their bowl game against a future first-round pick, Alshon Jeffrey. They both got disqualified out of the game, after which he had a poor showing in a lot of his workouts pre-draft. Then, 3 days before the draft, he gets arrested and brought up on charges of assaulting a police officer. And that was the last straw for a lot of teams. They just took him off of their board. The Patriots went out and took a risk on this guy. They said it's low risk, high reward for them. They took a 7th-round flyer out on him. If he pans out, they might have got the steal of the draft. If he doesn't, 7th-round pick, they disregard him, move on like it never happened. All right. So that's it for the Patriots on the lab report side. We're going to get into their experiment. And this experiment is called the Patriot Way. They do things a different way. It's distinct. It works for them. And it's what makes them the Patriots. It's what makes them so successful. The research question is simple. Can the changes in the offseason to the defense be enough to help the offense from a year ago and to help Tom Brady take the Patriots back to the promised land? Brady and the offense are going to do their part to make this team go. They're going to do their job to make sure that the Patriots have a chance to go back to the Super Bowl. The defense has to do their part. Last year, although they were ranked 31st, they were able to keep teams out of the end zone. Teams went 20-20 on the Patriots, but when they got in the red zone, things started to bog down and they had to settle for field goals. You can't rely on that happening year in and year out. You can't assume that teams are going to get in the red zone and won't be able to score the football if they're moving the ball up and down the field on you. They have to be better. And like I said, Belichick can't stand the fact that his defense was ranked 31st last year. He'll make the necessary changes. They'll be better in 2012. Hypothesis. If the defense can be better than a year ago and Brady can continue to build on the success between him and the Diamond Duo, then the Patriots can book their tickets for New Orleans. Look, Brady and the Diamond Duo have started something that the league is trying to follow. A lot of teams are trying to get two tight ends that they can put in the game simultaneously and look to exploit safeties and linebackers across the league. The problem is the guys that the Patriots have are unique. Ron Gronkowski, Gronk is 6'6". He is huge. Not only is he huge, but he can move. He can go up, get the ball in traffic, make plays. The direct opposite of him is Aaron Hernandez. They complement each other well. He's 6'1", but he's shifty, he's fast, he's in and out of his breaks quickly. He separates from safeties and linebackers. He's too big for corners. These guys complement each other so well that the Diamond Duo is going to be a problem moving forward. And you got to assume that Brady is going to continue to find these guys and they're going to continue to wreak havoc on the NFL. Teams are going to try to slow them down, but you can't stop these guys because they're so good, and that Patriots offense is a machine and it operates at such high efficiency. Materials needed for the Patriots to be successful. Same old Brady. You're going to get the same old Tom Brady. Tom Brady is a Hall of Famer. He's not just going to fall off the face of the earth. His production is going to be where it normally is, and you're going to get the consistent Tom Brady that takes his team to the postseason every year. Diamond Duo Deluxe. These guys are for real. They're not going away. Teams aren't going to be able to stop them, but they're going to have to try and slow them down, whether it's chipping them or rerouting them at the line of scrimmage, forcing them to stay in the block, bracketing them. These guys are going to continue to be a problem, and I don't know what teams are going to do around the league to try and slow them down, but I imagine that defensive coordinators, especially those in the AFC East, are going to be doing all they can to try and slow these guys down. Better secondary play, better defense in general. Both of these things need to happen for the Patriots to be better in 2012. And like I said, Belichick can't stand the fact that they were 31st. He won't stand for it. They'll be better in 2012. Complementary run game. The Patriots, believe it or not, love to run the football, especially when they get in the red zone. Tom Brady loves nothing more than to turn around and hand the ball off and watch his running back run for 11 yards for a touchdown. They did it so often a year ago. Scoring touchdowns in the red zone on the ground is something that they love to do. The running game has to complement Tom Brady and the passing offense. Continued stinginess. The Patriots are a team that does not turn the football over. And they take the ball away quite a bit. If they can continue to not turn the ball over, continue to not beat themselves, they'll be in the same position that they're in every year, which is contending for the AFC East division crown and possibly going to the Super Bowl. And same old Patriots. The Patriots have a mystique about them. It's almost to the point where it's a quiet cockiness that borders, or it's a quiet confidence that borders cockiness. And so if they could come out and be the same Patriots, which they will because they are a reflection of Bill Belichick, and that's his demeanor, they'll continue to be successful. So I don't see that changing in 2012. Data. Tom Brady needs to have about 4,950 passing yards, 34 to 40 touchdowns, 9 to 13 interceptions, and about a 65.5% completion percentage. Wes Welker, his numbers are going to come down. Wes Welker had 122 grabs last year. 122 grabs last year. Those numbers are insane. He cannot duplicate those numbers, however, because they added Brandon Lloyd across from him. Some balls have to be taken away from Welker, a few away from the Diamond Duo to go to Brandon Lloyd. Of course, unless the defense is better and they just get more opportunities on offense. Either way, Welker is still going to be ultra productive. I expect him to have 89 to 98 catches for over 1,000 yards, around 1,090 yards, and 4 to 7 touchdowns. Brandon Lloyd coming over from the Rams is going to look to contribute about 62 to 69 catches for about 890 receiving yards and 6 to 8 touchdowns. Brady loves to throw the ball up to athletic receivers who can go make plays. He missed that with Randy Moss's departure. He'll get that back in Brandon Lloyd because he loves to go and make spectacular acrobatic catches. If he can throw him the ball in the end zone and allow him to go up and make a play, Brady will do it and Lloyd will go and get the football. So look for that to happen. And if it does, the rest of the league should be on notice. Rob Gronkowski, 75 to 83 catches, 890 to 975 yards, and 9 to 11 touchdowns. This guy was an absolute menace last year, especially in the red zone. He had close to 1,400 receiving yards last year and over 15 touchdowns. It's hard to project those numbers from year to year. Tight ends just don't put up those kind of numbers on a year-in, year-out basis. Elite receivers rarely put up those kind of numbers. And so those numbers are going to come down, but not by much. It wouldn't surprise me if he went over 1,000 yards again. He's that good of a tight end. Aaron Hernandez, 60 to 69 catches for 705 to 800 receiving yards and 5 to 8 touchdowns. He's a perfect complement to Gronkowski in that Patriots offense, and I look for him to duplicate a lot of what he did last year. Patriots running backs, look for them to, as a group, have 375 to 400 carries for about 1,650 yards and 14 to 17 total touchdowns. Patriots defense, they're an opportunistic defense, so they get turnovers. They've always been good at turning people over. Their problem is getting stops and stopping teams from going up and down the field on them. Expect them to have about 32 to 37 turnovers, or force those turnovers. Have about 35 to 40 sacks. Last year they were right around 40 sacks. They lost some production, as we've already spoken to. However, the addition of Chandler Jones should be able to make up a bit of that difference, and they're hoping that some of the other guys can contribute and help make up that difference as well. 20.1 points per game is what I think they should be around giving up. The Patriots can give up 20 points a game because they're going to score about 24, 25 points a game. That Patriots offense with Tom Brady is so dynamic that scoring points isn't a problem for them. So they can give up 20 points and be comfortable in giving up 20 and still win 10, 11, 12 ball games. Plays of over 40 yards, they need to give up around 7 to 9. I think last year they gave up right around 9 or 10. They need to scale that back a bit. 7 to 9 is right where they want to be. As long as they're not giving up chunks of yardage and big plays in the passing game, they should be fine on defense, especially if the secondary can be better. Get the ball back into Brady's hands, create more scoring opportunities for the offense. Independent variable. At his core, Bill Belichick is a defensive coach. That 31st ranked defense last year does not sit well with him. He's going to make the necessary changes to make the defense better. Like I said, the first 4 picks in the draft were all defensive related. He's addressed a lot of issues, went out and signed a safety that they hope can start alongside their free safety, Patrick Chung. So look for the Patriots to be better on offense. They were 32nd for the majority of the season, only finishing 31st at the end of the season because the Packers gave up over 500 yards to the Lions on the last week of the season. So they can't be much worse than they were last year, and I expect them to be better, which leads us to our dependent variable. If the defense is better, then they get stops on third down, they get off the field, they get the ball back into the Patriots offense, and they can score more points. Brady takes full advantage of short fields via turnover, via trapping the team and having them punt out of their own end zone and getting good field position. They take advantage of those situations and they put points on the board. Whether it's a field goal or a touchdown, the Patriots don't squander many opportunities to score. They are an efficient offense and they do not waste opportunities to put points on the board. So if the defense is better, they can score more points. Constant. It's simple. Belichick and Brady are the constants for the Patriots. These two together have formed one of the most prolific tandems of quarterback and head coach in NFL history. They've been together for the duration of Brady's career, and essentially they've set the mark for what it is that you want out of a coach and a quarterback tandem. They've set the standard in the league, and I don't know if anybody will be able to eclipse what they've done, and they're still building on their legacy. Belichick and Brady together equals the playoffs. Even in the season when Brady went down, they still won 11 games. Brady and Belichick are going to produce double-digit win seasons. The only question is, what are they going to do when they get into the playoffs? They're both among the best at what they do, and they are definitely constants for the New England Patriots. Conclusion. Quietly, arrogantly, economically, and proficiently, the Patriots win. That is the Patriots way. It might rub some people the wrong way, myself included, because these NFL players work so hard at what they do and they put their bodies on the line. You feel like if you outperform your contract, when your contract is up, you should be properly compensated. But the Patriots don't always do it the right way, but it's the Patriots way, and that's why they're so successful, because they know that when people come to their locker room, they have to conform to the Patriots way. So hate it or love it, you have to respect what the Patriots do. And on that note, I have the Patriots finishing 12-4 this year. The additions of Brandon Lloyd to that offense, the Diamond Duo coming back and probably being just as prolific as they were last year, Wes Welker being back into the fold. Brady can be on his 2007 type of season because he's got the weapons around him a la that 2007 year. He's got guys to spread the ball around to. Even Jabbar Gaffney is not a bad option at the third wide receiver position. He has options. They're going to win games. They're going to be a scary offense this year. If that defense gets it together, and I feel like they'll be a lot better this year, they're going to be a team to be reckoned with. And I have them going to the Super Bowl. If you're a Patriots fan right now, go ahead and book your tickets to New Orleans because it gets crazy in New Orleans at that time of year. Go ahead and book your tickets now because it's looking really strong as a possibility that the Patriots will be in New Orleans come February. It's all dependent upon how they play and how those teams in the AFC play, because in the AFC East, the Jets and the Bills have already proven that they're not afraid of the Patriots anymore. So the Patriots have to exert their dominance over these teams and show them that they are still the leaders in the clubhouse in the AFC East. Because the only team that the Patriots can say they consistently beat up on is the Dolphins. And the Dolphins still have a ways to go before they can climb out of that bottom rung of the division. So with that being said, That's going to wrap it up for the Patriots. When we come back from the lab quiz, we're going to go into the Patriots' chief competitors for the AFC East Championship, and that would be the New York Jets.
Lab quiz. Lab quiz.
Welcome back. The next team that we're going to do a lab report on is the New York Jets. What makes this team so interesting and intriguing is that there's always something going on in New York. New York is the media capital of the United States, and so everything that happens in New York is magnified times 100. And so when you go out and acquire Tim Tebow, or Mark Sanchez does something ridiculous, or Rex Ryan says something asinine, you're going to hear about it. It's going to get blown out of proportion, and this is why the Jets are always relevant. Aside from the fact that they play excellent defense and always are in the discussion of the 6 playoff teams that come from the AFC. Let's get into their strengths. Since 2009, when Rex Ryan took over, there's always 2 things you can be assured of when mentioning the New York Jets. That's hard-nosed defensive play and confidence by the defense. The defense is confident because it is instilled in them by their head coach, Rex Ryan, who is, without a doubt, the most self-confident coach in the entire National Football League. You stick a mic in his face, and he won't hesitate to tell you that he is a great defensive mind, and his defense is one of the best, if not the best, in the league. And you can lay claim to that since you've taken over the team, the last 3 years, your defense has been in the top 5 in defense. So Rex Ryan instills supreme confidence in his defense, and they play with that swagger when they get on the field. And they play a hard-nosed, tough, in-your-face style of defense. And that's what you expect from the Jets week in, week out. The other strength of the Jets is Darrelle Revis. The reason Rex Ryan can speak so highly of his defense is because he has arguably the best corner in all of football, Darrelle Revis. Darrelle Revis allows the Jets and Rex Ryan to do things that other teams can't do because you can afford to leave him one-on-one and feel like you're confident he'll get the job done and he doesn't need any help. So that allows you to do exotic blitzes and different schemes to confuse teams and quarterbacks because you don't have to dedicate another safety over the top. So that's an extra player to play with. And so that's what makes the defense for the Jets so aggressive and puts them in the top 5 just about every year. Weaknesses. As much emphasis as we put on the defense for the Jets, the offense is overshadowed, and rightfully so. Their offense is consistently inconsistent. And the reason why it is because of quarterback Mark Sanchez. This guy is an enigma. He came into the league with so much hype, although he didn't have as much experience at USC as you would like a guy that came in so touted. But yet, he took his team to the AFC Championship game in his first season. So the sky was the limit. You could argue, although the stats don't indicate this, you could argue that he has regressed since then. I think a lot of times his decision-making and his poise in the pocket is lacking. You don't have many times where Sanchez goes a 4-game stretch without having a bonehead game and making a slew of bad decisions and turning the football over. It's not just Sanchez on the offensive side of the ball, though. The offensive line has been inconsistent. The Jets' running game has been inconsistent. When Rex Ryan first took over in 2009, they were ranked first in the league in rush yards. They were dominant on the ground. Since then, they have declined rapidly to the point where they were at the bottom half of the league in rushing. Sean Green was made the primary running back last year, and he had an uninspiring 2011 campaign. So Sanchez is just not the only person that all the blame should be put upon, but he is the quarterback and leader of that offense, and he has to play better. The Jets simply turned the ball over too much. They turned the ball over more than any other team in the league on special teams, with the exception of the Detroit Lions. They turned the ball over on special teams. They turned it over on offense. Mark Sanchez, by himself, listen to this, had 26 turnovers by himself. 18 interceptions and a league high 8 fumbles. He has to be a better caretaker of the football. They can't afford to turn the ball over that much. In the NFL, winning the turnover battle is one of those stats that usually is indicative of who won the game. You can't afford to turn the football over, and the Jets do it way too often. They have to shore that up. Camp battles. What many people want you to believe is a battle that I'm going to address briefly is the quarterback position. There is no camp battle for quarterback in the New York Jets camp. Mark Sanchez is the number 1 quarterback in camp, will be the number 1 quarterback the first game of the regular season. Tim Tebow is there to help augment the offense. And I'm going to tell you what, with the addition of the offensive coordinator and the ex-Dolphins head coach, Tony Sparano, this Jets offense is going to look totally different. And they're going to have so many gadgety plays that they're going to be dangerous. Especially with Tim Tebow being in the mix, you're not going to know what to expect from the Dolphins. I don't know if you remember, but Sparano's first year when he came to the Dolphins and implemented the Wildcat and took the league by storm, they were a gadgety team that you couldn't game plan for because you didn't know what was coming. Look for the Jets to be similar in that regard, with Sparano being added to that coaching staff. Another real camp battle for the Jets is going to be that of right tackle. Right tackle for the Jets was one of those positions that was a nightmare. There's no other way to say it. Wayne Hunter was the starting right tackle last year, and he had one of the worst years of a right tackle in recent memory. He was continuously beat by athletic defensive ends. He was continuously bull rushed by stronger defensive ends, and he was inconsistent in the run game. The Jets desperately want to replace him. They went out and traded for Jeff Ota. He failed his physical. They sent him back to Carolina. If no one else can step up and assume the right tackle position, they're stuck with Wayne Hunter because they didn't make any moves to address it. And frankly, they don't have anybody on the roster that they feel like can come in and unseat Wayne Hunter. So Jets fans are begging for anybody but Wayne Hunter at right tackle, but chances are you're going to get Wayne Hunter at right tackle. Another position battle in camp for the Jets is left guard. Matt Slauson was the starting left guard last year, and this was the same camp battle from last year. The same 2 guys, Matt Slauson and Vladimir Dukas, were battling for the left guard position. Slauson had an average year at best. He wasn't terrible, but he wasn't that good either. So the position has been up for grabs again. And basically what it boils down to is the Jets want to utilize Vladimir Dukas, their second round pick from a year ago. They want this guy to pan out somewhere. There's even been talks about him possibly playing right tackle in place of Wayne Hunter. They want him to play somewhere. They want value out of this guy. They want to feel like they didn't waste their second round pick. So keep an eye on that left guard position. I think Slauson is going to retain that position, but don't be surprised if Dukas is given the nod there. You have to watch the preseason to see how these guys perform in order to figure out who's going to win that camp battle. Another battle for the Jets is that of fullback. Fui Vakapunu is going up against the Terminator, John Connor. If you watched Hard Knocks a few years ago, you remember the Terminator. He was one of the stars of Hard Knocks. He's fighting for his position. Last year, he had a rough year at fullback. They brought in Vakapuna, and they're hoping, Vakapuna, and they're hoping that he can come in and pry that position away from the Terminator. And if you watch Hard Knocks, you know Fui Vakapuna from the Cincinnati Bengals training camp Hard Knocks series. And so both of these guys are Hard Knock stars, and they're battling for one position on the Jets roster because the Jets are only carrying one fullback. And so whoever doesn't make it will be cut. So that is definitely worth keeping an eye on. Rookie watch. The Jets had a draft that I call a upside draft. Instead of them going in the draft and addressing glaring needs, essentially trying to hit doubles, they went to hit home runs. They went in the draft and they drafted guys with extreme upside. The ceiling is up here and the floor is down here. And so they're either going to swing and hit a home run or they could potentially swing and strike out. Their first round pick was the defensive end / outside linebacker Quentin Coples from North Carolina. This guy has the potential to be one of the best outside linebackers in the league. He has the ability to bend the corner a la DeMarcus Ware. His problem is consistency and motor. And you never want to hear that with a guy. Questioning a guy's motor means he's not motivated on every play, and you don't want to put guys like that on the field. So if Rex Ryan can get the most out of him, because in his first year, Rex Ryan is looking to use this guy in situational pass rushing downs. If he produces and shows Rex Ryan that I can produce and I can be more of an every down guy, look for Rex Ryan to find ways to get this guy on the field more than just in situational pass rushing situations. So keep an eye on Rex Ryan and it's his ability to push the right buttons with Quentin Coples. The second round pick was just as high on upside and just as low for the floor as Quentin Coples was, and that's Stephen Hill, the raw receiver out of Georgia Tech. This guy has everything you would ask for in an NFL receiver. He has the prototypical size. He's 6'3". He can run like lightning. He can run a 4.4 40. He even ran a sub 4.4 40 at the combine. So the guy can flat out run. His production in college, however, wasn't what you would expect from a second round pick because he was in a non-traditional college offense at Georgia Tech. They ran the triple option. A lot of blocking is asked upon the receivers, and they just get tossed a bone every now and again. So just like his fellow Georgia Tech contemporaries, that being Calvin Johnson and Demaryius Thomas of the Broncos, he can be an elite receiver in this league. He has the skill set and he has the attributes to be an elite receiver in his league, but he's very raw. He has to learn how to run routes better. His blocking down the field is light years ahead of his route running, and that goes to speak to how much he blocked in college. You never want to hear that from your receiver, that his blocking is light years ahead of his route running. But that is the case with Stephen Hill. But look for him to be able to make plays, especially with this gadgety offense. You catch the defense napping, this guy's too fast for you to fall asleep. He gets a step on you, you're probably not going to catch him. The Jets' third-round selection was the linebacker out of Arkansas State, Demario Davis. This is a guy that they like a lot. They expect him to come in day one and be able to play in pass situations. They drafted him specifically for the task of slowing down the diamond duo. And they really want him to focus on Aaron Hernandez. Gronk is so tall that I think he's too big for Demario Davis. But Aaron Hernandez is right in his wheelhouse. And so I think the Jets are looking for Demario Davis to come in and be able to slow down Aaron Hernandez. They're so high on this guy, they feel like sky's the limit for this guy. So definitely look for Demario Davis to be somebody that's going to contribute for the Jets in the 2012 season. The Jets had a couple of late-round selections that are of note. Sixth-round selection, Josh Bush was a safety from Wake Forest, and Antonio Allen is a safety, a seventh-round pick out of South Carolina. Rex Ryan loves his safeties, and he loves to play around with them. And the fact that they're kind of light at safety this year, they acquired LaRon Landry, but you cannot trust LaRon Landry and his injury history. These guys might see the field this year. They may make the team, and not only make the team, they may actually see the field this year because injuries beset LaRon Landry. And you also got to keep an eye on the other safety that they acquired from the Dolphins as well. He's a guy that has trouble staying healthy as well. So look for these guys to possibly get playing time if, in fact, they do make the team. So that's going to wrap up the rookie watch. Let's get into the experiment. And the experiment is titled Jets, 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 Jets. The Jets are going to be an exciting team this year with the addition of Tony Sparano at offensive coordinator and Tim Tebow at the backup quarterback position. Look out for the Jets in the AFC East. They could be a team to contend with if they can play that solid defense that we've come to know from the Jets, and they get more consistent play out of Mark Sanchez and that offense, which leads us to our research question. Can Mark Sanchez finally turn the corner and take the Jets and their vaunted defense to the next level? The Jets have been in the AFC Championship before. They've been there. They can get back to that point, but they need more consistent play from the offense and mainly Mark Sanchez. If the Jets defense can continue to be a consistent force and Mark Sanchez can tune out the distractions and become the QB the Jets traded up for, then the Jets can challenge the Patriots for the AFC East title. That is the hypothesis, and it's realistic. If the Jets play the defense that we know they can, and Mark Sanchez becomes the quarterback, this is the year that Mark Sanchez has to take that next step. I looked at my watch, and he's a young quarterback pass that expired on January 1st, 2012. That is no longer a valid excuse for Mark Sanchez. He has to produce this year. And if he doesn't, if he turns the ball over and is not a better caretaker of the football, there's going to be a quick hook in New York. And his name is Tim Tebow. So with that being said, the materials needed for the Jets to be good this year. A matured, poised Mark Sanchez. We've chronicled, we talked about it. He has to be better. He has to make better decisions. He has to be more poised in the face of pressure in the pocket. Defensive prowess. The defense has been spectacular over the last 3 years. They want to be more of the 2009 Rex Ryan defense, more so than the 2011 Rex Ryan defense. The Rex Ryan defense of 2011, they got gashed at times. While they finished 5th in the league, they had some games where they were obliterated on defense. The Eagles put up 45 points on the Jets last year. So the Jets have to be better on defense. And they want to get back to where they were number 1 in the league in 2009 in defense. They want to get back to that, where Rex was feeling comfortable enough to send the kitchen sink on a number of plays, coming after quarterbacks and making them uncomfortable. Confidence that borders cockiness. I don't think you really have to worry about that with the Jets. They're confident, it borders cockiness, and they're going to be that way because they are a reflection of their coach. And their coach is a cocky son of a gun. So I don't think that will be something that they will have to worry about in 2012. More reliability for the offensive line. This line, when healthy, can be one of the best in the league. Nick Mangold is arguably the best center in the league when healthy. DeBrickashaw Ferguson is arguably one of the best left tackles in the league when healthy. If these guys can stay healthy and play good football, the Jets' offensive line will be fine. Running backs have to be better. Sean Green went over 1,000 yards last year, but barely. And I have a friend of mine who always mentions to me how easy it is for a running back to go over 1,000 yards. Something like averaging 63 yards per game or something to that effect. He was not impressive last year. In fact, I would argue that he regressed from when he was a platoon player with the Jets when they were amongst the lead leaders in rushing in 2010 and when they led the league in 2009. He got his shot to be the guy, and he really didn't turn any heads. He has to be better. They have other guys, Joe McKnight, Belial Powell, that they think are going to come in and help augment that run game. So I think they might take some of his carries away and give it to some of these other guys and see what they can do. Limit the turnovers. You can't turn the ball over as much as the Jets did in 2011 and think that you're going to win. The Jets missed the playoffs last year because they turned the ball over far too much for a team that wanted to make the playoffs. You can't turn the ball over in this league. It is imperative that you treasure every possession and take care of the football like it's your last possession. The Jets did not do that last year, and it cost them dearly. Accountability. The Jets at times can be a finger-pointing team. They get in the locker room and they start to point fingers at each other, and dissension enters the locker room, and guys aren't accountable for their actions. San Antonio Holmes was one of those guys who was a finger pointer last year. And it started to divide the locker room. You can't have that on a team that looks to compete to make the playoffs. You can't have that kind of dissension in your locker room. These guys have to be better. They have to be accountable and live up to any mistakes that they make and move forward. Independent data. Let's go to data. Mark Sanchez needs to have 3,600 passing yards, 25 to 27 touchdowns, 14 to 16 interceptions, and about a 58.2% completion percentage, and only 3 fumbles. I added that category in for him because he led the league in fumbles last year. He has to be a better caretaker of the football. He can't be so loosey-goosey with the football in the pocket. He has to control the football, know when he has defenders around him, and secure the ball if he's going to get hit. San Antonio Holmes, 60 to 67 catches, 870 receiving yards, 6 to 8 touchdowns. He had an off year last year. The Jets offense as a whole had an off year, and his numbers are going to be better. He would love to have over 1,000 yards receiving. I don't think that he'll be able to get that in the style of offense that the Jets play. Dustin Keller. Dustin Keller quietly has put together a nice body of work as an NFL tight end. I think he's a strength of the Jets as well. Look for him to have 65 to 71 catches for 785 to 885 yards, receiving in 5 to 8 touchdowns. This is a contract year for him. Look for him to try to break out and have a big season so that he can command that much more money on the free agent market. Jets running game. They rely heavily on their running game. So look for 450 to 500 carries from this group for 2,275 yards and 17 to 22 total touchdowns. Those numbers that I just mentioned are huge. But if the Jets want to win, they have to rely less on Mark Sanchez and more on the running game, which if you know Rex Ryan, he has no problem doing. Jets defense. Force turnovers. 30 to 35 of them need to be forced for this defense to be successful. 40 to 42 sacks is right around where they need to be. They weren't as good at getting sacks a year ago. They have to be better. Rex Ryan has brought in a few guys that he likes as edge rushers. Aaron Maben is back. He was probably the most consistent pass rusher they had a year ago. So look for the Jets to improve their sack total from a year ago. 19.8 points per game. The Jets gave up a little over 20 last year. They don't score enough points to give up 20 points a game. They have to give up less than 20. 19.8 points is less than 20. And I think that they can do that with Rex Ryan and the scheme that he's going to look to implement with all the new pieces that he's going to be putting in that defense. 6 to 8 plays of 40 yards or more given up. Right around the league average again. The Jets should be right around there. I don't see why they can't do that. Independent variable. Mark Sanchez has the talent to be a great quarterback in this league. But he has to be consistent. His inconsistencies are well noted and well documented. And the Jets will only go as far as his arm will take them. If he makes mistakes, the Jets will suffer from it because the defense can't win games on their own. It's already been proven that the defense can't win by themselves. They have to get help from that offense and Mark Sanchez, and they have to be better. If they are better on offense, the Jets will be better all around. It's a reciprocal approach. If the Jets are better on offense, the defense is more aggressive. They can play with a lead instead of playing timid and not to lose. They can play to win. In Rex Ryan's first season in 2009, they were ahead a lot, and they played to win the game. As in the great words of Herm Edwards, they played to win the game. This defense last year played not to lose because they were scared that the offense was going to make mistakes and that they were going to have to clean up the offense's mess. So if the offense can be better in 2012, the defense can play more aggressive, which in turn will get the ball back to the offense who can score more points. It's a reciprocal approach. Constant. The one constant for the Jets, Darrelle Revis. Darrelle Revis, since he's entered the league, has been the best corner in all of football. Darrelle Revis' physical style of play is unmatched by any other corner in the league. And the reason why it's unmatched is because Darrelle Revis gets away with more contact than any corner in the league. He molests receivers sometimes, but because he's Darrelle Revis, and rightfully so, the man molests receivers a lot of times within 5 yards. He does get a little bit grabby after 5 yards, but he's Darrelle Revis. The referees look the other way, and his agility and anticipation are second to none in this league. His ability to make plays on the football when the football is in the air is second to none as well, and that's what makes him the best corner in football and a constant for the Jets. Conclusion. The New York Jets made some subtle changes in the offseason. Nobody's talking about the addition of Tony Sparano as offensive coordinator, but I'm going to be the one to tell you that Tony Sparano is going to make all the difference with this Jets offense. They're going to look so different that you're not going to recognize them. And I'm going to tell you what, they are going to utilize Tim Tebow in ways that is going to make the 2009 Miami Dolphins proud. These guys are going to have Tim Tebow in so many different packages, so many different looks. They're going to do so many tricky plays. They're going to keep defenses honest, off balance, and it's going to make the Jets a better football team. So with that being said, I see the Jets going 10-6 and clinching a playoff berth. And we all know how dangerous the Jets are when they get a ticket to the dance. Once they get in, they are extremely dangerous because defense wins in the playoffs and the Jets can play defense. So that's going to wrap up the Jets and their lab report and experiment. That is another touchdown. Throw them up. Now, I want to tack on a quick extra point. What the hell is wrong with Boomer Esiason? Boomer, cut it out. You're too old to be acting like this, okay? Leave Tim Tebow alone. That man has done nothing to you. If the Jets want to win 10 games, Tim Tebow will be on that roster. If the Jets want to go 7-9, fine. Get rid of Tim Tebow. Listen to Boomer Esiason. But if the Jets want to win 10 games, Tim Tebow is a big part of what they're going to do this year. And no, it's not healthy for Mark Sanchez to have Tim Tebow breathing down his neck. But when you've been as inconsistent as Mark Sanchez, you don't get a pass. Like I said, his young quarterback pass, that expired January 1st, 2012. I don't feel bad for that man. He needs somebody to light a fire up under his behind, and he needs to play better. So Boomer Esiason, put a sock in it. And that's going to wrap up the show for today. Check us out tomorrow. Check us out on Facebook, on Twitter, at In the Lab Room. Twitter handle is the same thing, In the Lab Room. Hit me up in the inbox too as well, In the Lab Room at gmail.com. I want to hear from you. I want all the feedback that I can get, man. Let's communicate. I love doing this, and I want to hear from you guys. So until next time, same place. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm out. Have a good one.